Actors and their stunt doubles work in tandem to make the impossible probable in action films that involve death-defying feats of human fortitude. This can involve anything from creating exciting car chases to vaulting out of skyscrapers, and great care is taken to make the stunts appear as realistic as possible. Occasionally, a lead actor will want to perform the stunts themselves, bringing a certain level of authenticity to the action sequence. For a lead actor to perform their own stunts requires a great deal of training and the implementation of extra safety precautions, which only the most dedicated stars will commit to. These A-list actors who perform their own stunt work know the risks involved, but weigh them against appearing disingenuous in a role that demands their physical best. Wondering which actors are those? Here's a list of the top 10 celebrities who do their own stunts. Number 10. Dwayne Johnson. In an interview with British funny man Graham Norton, Dwayne Johnson explained how important it was that he performed the majority of his own stunts in his films. He felt he owed it to fans to be as authentic as possible with his action hero performances, because they pay to see him look believable. With a long career in professional wrestling under the Rock moniker, and having once been declared the most electrifying man in entertainment, it only makes sense that Johnson would feel the need to bank on his athleticism. His films only benefit from him being so committed to taking big risks. Number 9. Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron has been dominating screens lately with a slew of action hits, including the recently successful The Old Guard on Netflix. Longtime fans will remember her memorable turn in Aeon Flux as a genetically altered super soldier all the way back in 2005. Theron has been known to fully commit to the action sequences in her films, a point which surfaced during the particularly physical shoot of Mad Max Fury Road in 2015. Theron again demonstrated how important it is to watch the actor do their own stunt work in Atomic Blonde, which ended up being every bit as incredibly choreographed as Keanu Reeves' John Wick series. Number 8. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has long cemented himself in Hollywood as an action star, beginning with his testosterone turn in Top Gun as Maverick, the hotshot fighter pilot. Wanting to push his own personal limits and deliver quality action films to fans, he began to perform his own stunts for the Mission Impossible films. Now working on the 7th film for the franchise, Tom Cruise made headlines previously while in production for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, when he insisted on performing his own death-defying stunts on a towering skyscraper, much to the chagrin of its producers. Number 7. Adam Driver. Adam Driver doesn't have the same pedigree when it comes to action films as some A-list stars, but for 3 films in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, he gave it his all as the dark side warrior Kylo Ren. He trained extensively in hand-to-hand combat, kendo, fencing, and other saber-fighting techniques to look as believable as possible portraying the franchise's newest villain. Driver trained tirelessly for months to be able to master Ren's brutal combat style, to the extent that Rian Johnson insisted on putting in the infamous shirtless scene in Star Wars The Last Jedi to show off Driver's hulking physique. Number 6. Angelina Jolie. Now she may be known for appearing in fantasy films like Maleficent, where many stunts are taken over by CGI. But there was a time when Angelina Jolie was one of the biggest names associated with performing her own stunt work between several blockbuster films, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Salt, and Wanted. Her commitment to making the action sequences in her films as believable as possible began with shooting Tomb Raider, in which she trained for months doing interval training and barrel rolls dual-wielding HKs. She put on 15 pounds of muscle between the first film and Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, just from training alone. Number 5. Keanu Reeves. The new era of action films involves balletic cinematography and seamless wide shots, and demand that action stars know how to fight properly. Without quick editing and stunt doubles to obscure a sloppy action lead, they require them to know what they're doing, which is why Keanu Reeves has championed this style with his John Wick film series. Reeves has been doing the majority of his own stunts since Speed and the Matrix trilogy, the latter which inspired his love of martial arts. It's important to him that he makes his characters look as competent and believably trained as possible, especially for elite assassins like John Wick. Number 4. Milla Jovovich. Milla Jovovich became a breakout star with the action-packed sci-fi film The Fifth Element, which she followed up with Resident Evil, a survival horror film that started a franchise, ensuring she would become a mainstay action heroine. When the stakes increased in Resident Evil 2, she committed herself to making her own stunts as believable as possible. The films incorporated more CGI as they were released, but Jovovich continued to train and perform what stunts she could. Other films like Ultraviolet, Hellboy, and the upcoming Monster Hunter all were made better by the fact that she was responsible for her own stunt work. Number 3. Daniel Craig. When Daniel Craig took on the role of James Bond, the franchise was in the process of being rebooted in a new direction. Because it was set at a time before Bond was the suave and sophisticated spy he'd become in later adventures, Craig had to commit himself to showcasing Bond's unpolished and brutal fighting style. After Casino Royale, Craig positioned himself as the man in charge of his major car crashes and fight scenes, going as far as to have his front teeth shattered when he took a punch to the face for real. Number 2. Tom Holland. In a short amount of time, Tom Holland has made quite a name for himself across the pond as the British actor who appeared as one of Marvel's most famous superheroes in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Playing Spider-Man demands a great deal of athleticism, which Holland has in large supply. A former gymnast, his flexibility comes in handy when he trains to play Spider-Man, and doing his own stunt work allows him to have an ownership over the role that not every Avenger can claim. Number 1. Jackie Chan. One of the most well-known actors to perform his own stunts, Jackie Chan has made an entire career off taking hits and dishing them out. In addition to the impressive fight scenes in his action-packed films, he also performs harrowing sequences like roller skating under moving trucks and base jumping onto hot air balloons. In the 1986 film Armor of God, Chan suffered a piece of his skull nearly piercing his brain. It's these sorts of injuries that have made him slow down in recent years, though he'll still throw a punch and a kick or two if necessary.